Assalamu alaikum everyone. क्या हाल है आप लोगों के? वालेकुम अस्सलाम. I'm good, alhamdulillah. Walaikum assalam. Nice audio. Thank you, I appreciate it. Okay, so start kare. Now we're doing functions, which is a small and an easy topic. Stream was cancelled yesterday for some technical reasons. But here we are today, streaming. So that's all that matters. Add math. Yeah, I am going to be streaming add math next. Next is add maths, permutations, and combinations for sure, inshallah, coming week. So you guys don't have anything to worry about. We'll do permutation combination in a lot of detail, inshallah. Yes, domain and range bhi inshallah isme cover karaunga. So shuru karte hain. First we'll go over a bit of theory. The stream will be 1.5 hours or maximum 2 hours. Yes, I will definitely do domain and range. And by the way, in case you guys are wondering that domain and range is a very complicated concept, it's not. Especially the kind that we see that has been added in O-levels and IGCSE, it's very easy. If you're comparing it with add math functions or add maths domain and range, it's nothing like that. It's a very easy version of domain and range. Mic करीब कर लूँ? अच्छा वैसे मैंने अभी थोड़ी आवाज़ कम की थी. I'll increase the volume. अब सही होगी. Sir, will you only do... No, I'll do concepts also. I'll do concepts as well as past papers. Add maths is also... Okay, well, great. If you find it easy, good for you. Anyway, so I'm going to start. Now, basically, to explain the idea of functions, I like to give the example of a vending machine. I'm sure we've all seen or used a vending machine. If you haven't used it, then, I'm sure you've probably used a vending machine. So the way a vending machine works is that you insert something and then you get something in return. All right. So there's an input, okay, which is X, and we refer to it. You haven't used one. Well, I'm sure you've seen one. Okay. If you haven't used one, I'm sure you're aware of what a vending machine is and how it works. So you input something, and then depending on whatever you input, you get something in return. There is the output. And output are basically your Y, or we will now call them f of x values, which is referred to as the range. Okay, so output is referred to as the range. Now, what's domain by definition? Let's also write that down. Domain in theory are basically all the values that can be plugged into the function. Yes, IGCSE word problems, which was earlier referred to as linear programming. I honestly don't know why they would call it linear programming, but is no more part of the syllabus. Okay, so yeah, that's the answer to your question. And f of x, and by the way, this is read as f of x. Okay, f is for function, so we also call it function of x. When you have an equation which is in terms of x, like y is usually, so y is basically a function of x, and a shorter version of it is f of x. But sometimes it's also g of x, okay? Alhamdulillah. No more inequality word problems, okay? I made a detailed video talking about the syllabus changes. Please check it out. अभी तो exams करीब आ रहे हैं. अभी भी आप लोग पूछ रहे हो कि क्या syllabus में है, क्या syllabus में नहीं है. So I made a detailed video talking about the syllabus changes. So make sure to check it out. Okay, h of x, hx is basically referred to as h of x. Now let's do an example. Now, if you haven't done functions at all, so far you would be looking at an equation like this. Y is equals to 2x plus 3. But in functions, we don't write y is equals to, because y is a function of x, y is expressed in terms of x, so we write it as f of x. So this is basically f of x, which is 2x plus 5. Yeah, 2x plus 5. Now let's say that you are asked to find out f of 2. Okay, let's say you're asked to find out f of 2. So that means you're going to plug in 2 into the function, which is going to be equal to 2 times 2, that's 4. And 4 plus 5 is equal to what? Is equals to 9. So this is a very basic concept of functions where you plug in something and you get something in return. So इसको हम लिखेंगे कैसे? In words, f of 2 is 9. This basically means that when you plug in 2, when your input is 2, your output is 9. That's what it means. In short, that's what it means. Dekho, word problems of inequalities. When I say word problems are no more part of the syllabus, I mean word problems of inequalities are no more part of the syllabus. But having said that, I will once again recommend that you watch the detailed video of the syllabus changes. ठीक है? Because आप लोग आधी बात सुनते हो और बाकी आधी अपनी तरफ से ऐड कर लेते हो and then jump to conclusions basically. Graphs of functions, graphs of functions I will not cover today. That's a separate topic altogether. And I didn't say anything about graphs. Graphs is still part of the syllabus. Can you please have a video on geometry, functions graph, plus coordinate geometry this week? Okay, let's see. Let's take it day by day. Your AS level trigonometry videos are so... Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So this is a very basic example of f of x. Yes, f of x is basically equal to y. Okay. Now, this is something that has been added to the O-level syllabus. Okay, composite function हमेशा IGCSE syllabus का हिस्सा था, but now it has been added to O-level syllabus as well. This is when you plug in one function inside other function. We call this composite function, and it's read as f of g of x. Okay, so composite means that it's two or more functions joined together. Usually it's two. I haven't come across a question where there are three functions, but this is what it means. Now let's do a few examples, some very basic examples to get things going. So here I have an example where let's say we have f of x, which is equal to 3x plus 5, and it says find the value of. Okay, so it says find the value of. And let's say there are three parts or two parts. First part is f of 2. See if you guys can work this out. And then there's another part which is f of minus 3. Very basic, like I said, just to get things going. Not at all complicated. You guys can probably do it in a second. I already did a stream on probability recently. But yes, close to exams, I'll be streaming, inshallah, more often. So f of 2 basically means that we plug in 2 in the function. So f of 2 means 3 times 2 plus 5. So that's 6. 6 plus 5 is equals to 11. That's the answer. F of minus 3 means that I simply plug in minus 3 into the function and then simplify. So that's minus 9 plus 5, which is equal to minus 4. Yep, easy. Like I said, just to get things going. Now, let's do another question. Let's say you're given g of x, which is equal to x minus 1 over 5. And you're asked to find the value of. So here also I'll give you guys two parts. Let's say g of 2, and let's say there's another part, g of 6. Quickly do these two parts. But I don't know anything about the grade threshold, and frankly it shouldn't concern you also. Just grade threshold jaisa bhi ho, it shouldn't matter to you. Okay, so let's see, what can we do next? G of 2 means that we're going to plug in 2. So 2 minus 1 upon 5. So the answer is going to be 1 upon 5. Then 6 means that we're going to plug in 6. 6 minus 1 is 5. 5 upon 5, that's equal to 1. So that's the value of g of 6. And that's the value of g of 2. Now, let's spice things up a little. Let's increase the level of difficulty. Let's say you're given g of x is equals to 3x minus 1 upon 4. And the question says that given that g of a equals 2. Okay. And then you're asked to find the value of A. Yeah, we'll definitely increase the difficulty level. Don't worry. We can't straight away jump to difficult questions. That's not a very wise thing to do. Okay, see if you guys can work this out. It's G of A. I'll write it neatly. Sir, I want to become a CIE level maths facilitator just like you. I appreciate it. What should we do in our college? Yes, you should definitely take Cambridge training. That's necessary. And just go over the syllabus, go over the past papers, go over all the resources. Yeah, do that. A equals to 3. Let's see if that's correct. 3a minus 1 upon 4. This is equal to 2. So 3a minus 1 is equals to 4 times 2, which is 8. 3a is equals to 9, which means a is equals to 3. Okay. Good job, fellas. Now let's do another one. Let's say you're given f of x equals to x squared plus x plus 3. And the question says, given that f of a equals to 9, and then the question says, find the values of A. Okay, notice how it says, find the values. Values ka matlab that there are likely going to be more than one answer. Could be 2, could be 3. Actually, not 3. We don't have 3 equations that give us 3 answers in our syllabus, but yes. Sir, AdMaths when? Can we start with AdMaths functions first? No, AdMaths, I said that I will be streaming permutations and combinations, inshallah, very soon. Probably on Tuesday. This Tuesday, inshallah, I'll be streaming permutations and combination. Minus 3 and 2, let's see. So this is very similar to question number 3. Here you're given the input and you are asked to find out the input, you're given the output. So f of a equals to 9 basically means that you're going to plug in a into the function. So that's a squared plus a plus 3, and equals to 9 means that you're going to set it equal to 9. Now, this becomes like a normal quadratic equation, which you can solve with the help of middle term breaking. And then when you solve it with the help of middle term breaking, you get a minus 2 into a plus 3. I've skipped a few steps. So a equals to what? A equals to 2, or a equals to minus 3. I'm expecting that you guys know how to do middle term breaking. But sir, how can we put a in place of x in these? Just replace x with a. Just like how you put 2 in place of x, or 3 in place of x, or 5, 6, or any other number in place of x, just replace x with a. Okay? So I hope that's clear. Now, let's do another question. So now we're given 2 functions. Let's say we're given f of x equals to x squared minus x, and we're given g of x equals to x squared minus 3x minus 12. Yes, there was no stream tomorrow, and I'm streaming today. So I guess problem solved. F of x equals to 6, that's the first part. And the next part is that f of x equals to g of x. Find x. Walaikum assalam. Can we have a detailed video stream on sequences? It's my worst topic. Whenever it comes, it has a ton of marks. Okay, let's see. I have done number sequences in the past, but all the important topics I will be streaming sooner or later, inshallah. So, f of x equals to 6. Who can tell me the answer to this? Sir, if total marks in maths paper were 180 in October, November, why is raw mark? They do it so that they can mark both papers out of 100. Yeah. Three and minus 2, let's see. So x squared minus x equals to 6. Move all the terms over to the left hand side, so it becomes a regular trigonometric equation. And now we have x squared minus 3x plus 2x. 30? How'd you guys come up with 30? We're not supposed to plug in 30. Okay, please read the question carefully. That's what you guys probably did. We're not supposed to plug in 30. It says f of x equals to 6, and you're supposed to find out the value of x. Okay, so make sure that you guys read the question carefully. Equals to 0, and then when you solve, I'm going to skip a few steps. X equals to 3 or minus 2. Okay, now part 2, part B. F of x equals to g of x. That means x squared minus x is equals to x squared minus 3x minus 12. So we're going to equate the two. And when we do that, x squared and x squared cancel. Let's move all the x's towards the left. So minus x plus 3x is going to be positive 2x, which is equal to minus 12, which means x equals to minus 6 is the final answer. We'll get to that. That's composite function. We'll get to that. No rush. Okay. Now, last question before we do inverse of a function. So this is going to be question number 6. Once again, very basic. I mean, not too basic, but yes. If you know algebra, you should be able to do it. So we have square root of 4x plus 1. And the question says g of x equals to 5. Find the value of x. Yes, we will cover all the functions today, inshallah. So g of x equals to 4x plus 1 and g of x equals to 5. Find the value of x. Question for you guys. So please make a video of solving arithmetic paper of arithmetic paper. What do you mean? Probably mean the arithmetic portion of O-level math paper 1. Yeah, I'm going to do that inshallah this weekend. There's a lot of work to do this weekend, but yeah, I'm going to do that inshallah, where I make a video of solving some basic arithmetic of paper 1. That's 6. Let's see. So 4x plus 1 inside the square root is equal to 5. So what do? We square both sides so we can get rid of the square root. So we have 4x plus 1, which is equal to 25. And now we can solve it like a regular linear equation. 4x equals to 24 and x equals to 6. Okay, easy peasy. Now, let's do the next concept, which is inverse of a function. And by the way, I have uploaded 2 worksheets, which I would like you guys to download. 2 or maybe 3 worksheets. So make sure that you guys download the worksheet. You will find a link in the description which will take you to a folder which has the worksheet. So we'll cover 96% add maths, you said last stream, and in December. 96% add maths? I came up with 96%. That's a weird number. Okay, so inverse of a function. What does that look like? So whenever you see something like this, f inverse of x, g inverse of x, h inverse of x, this means that it's an inverse. So a lot of times you will see questions like these, f inverse of 2. So this is done in 2 steps. The first step is that you will first find f inverse of x, and then the second step is that you will plug in 2 in f inverse of x. This is how it works. So there's a step-by-step procedure towards finding inverse, and let's see what that is. So let's suppose that you're given f of x equals 3x plus 5. Okay, and you have to find f inverse of x. So you can do this in 3 steps. Now, you don't have to write the steps in exam. You don't have to follow these steps to the letter. If you can do it directly, that's great, but the more careful you are, the easier it will be for you. So here's step 1. And what's step 1? Step 1 is that you replace f of x with y. So this becomes y is equals to 3x plus 5. Okay, let me change this to a different color, green. Then comes step 2. Step 2 is that you make x the subject. Okay, what do? We make x the subject. So if you know your algebraic manipulation, this should be a piece of cake. Y minus 5 is equals to 3x. Let's write it nicely. 3x is equals to y minus 5. Now we can make x the subject. X is equals to y minus 5 over 3. That's it. We have made x the subject. Then comes step 3, which is perhaps the most important step. That is that you replace x with f inverse of x and y with x. So f inverse of x equals to x minus 5 upon 3, and that's the final answer. Okay, so these are the 3 steps that you follow in order to find out the inverse. Let's do another example. Let's say that we have another question which kind of looks like this. Let's say you're given g of x equals to 3x plus 4 upon 5x. And you have to find g inverse of x. Add math from basics. बेटा अगर अभी आप basics से कर रहे हो तो फिर that's an alarming situation to be in. खैर, I wish you the best of luck anyway. But that's a tricky situation to be in if you want to do add math from the basics right now. Achha, I'm going to change the question slightly. Let's cover 2 concepts at once. It's g inverse of 2. Worksheet is not opening, really? Is that the case with everyone? Can you guys quickly check and tell me so that if there's an error, I can fix it? जल्दी से कोई मुझे चेक करके बता दे. मैं भी चेक कर लेता हूँ while we speak. Functions. I think you guys should be able to access the worksheet, so I don't see why not. अच्छा, if you're in class 9 तो बेटा अभी चिल करें, अभी आप खेलें कूदें, अभी आप कहाँ आ गए आप? ठीक है, अभी आप nothing to worry about. Now let's find out let's find out the inverse. So remember the step-by-step procedure that we replace the function with y, and then we have to do everything we can to make x the subject. So that means before I can do that, I'll get all the x's in one place. So we have 5xy minus 3x equals to 4. Then I can take x common, so that's going to be 5y minus 3, which is equal to 4. Because we had x in multiple places, so we had to get them in one place. And now we can make x the subject, which is going to be 4 over 5y minus 3, which means now we can find out g inverse of x, which is going to be 4 over 5x minus 3. Okay. Now I can also finally find out g inverse of 2. So that's going to be 4 upon 5 times 2, which is 10, minus 3, which is 7. So that means g inverse of 2 is in fact equal to 4 upon 7. And that is the final answer. Okay, now let's talk about composite functions. Okay, as far as inverse is concerned, that's all there is. We're going to do some past paper questions towards the end, but first let's cover all the concepts. So this next concept is called composite functions. No, I don't teach S2. So let's say that we have f of x, which is equal to five x minus 1, and then we have g of x, which is equal to 4x plus 1, and then we have h of x, which is equal to x squared. Okay. Now the first part of the question is f g of x. Sorry. Okay, this is how you will find it. Or in some cases, although I haven't seen this in IGCSE, they might just say fg. This means, what does this mean? This means that we are going to plug in g of x in f of x. Okay, just like if let's say it's f of 2, so we plug in 2 in the function. If it's f of g of x, we plug in g in the function. So how do we do that? Here's how we do it. So here's f of x, which is 5x minus 1. Okay. If let's say the question was f of 2, then we would replace x with 2. Okay, and then we'll solve whatever the answer is, doesn't matter. If let's say the question was f of 5, then we would replace x with 5, and then we would solve whatever the answer is. We're not concerned with that. If let's say the question was f of 100, then we would replace x with 100, and we would solve whatever the answer is. It doesn't matter. But if the question is f of g of x, That means that we will replace x with function g, and what's that? Function g is 4x plus 1 minus 1. Okay, now we're going to expand and simplify. So that's going to be 20x plus 5 minus 1. So the final answer is going to be 20x plus 4. This is the final answer. Now you don't have to do all this working that I've done. This was just to explain. This is what you have to do is basically this. This is the relevant working. Okay? Now let me do another part. And let's do the opposite. Let's say the question was g of f of x. Okay, so in this case, we have to plug in function f in function g. ठीक है, क्या करना है हमने? We have to plug in function f in function g. So, I'm not going to do the lengthy working over here. G of x is 4x plus 1. If you're asked to do g of f of x, simply replace x with function f, meaning 5x minus 1, and then plus 1 as it is. My screen is stuck. Really? I don't think so, Jawad. I think the problem is at your end. So we have 20x minus 4 plus 1, which means it's equal to 20x. My webcam. Oh yeah, you're right. My webcam is stuck for some reason. Interesting. Just a minute. Let me fix it. Okay. Now it's fine, probably. Okay. It's your no, it was my webcam. It's fine now. So so 20x minus 3 is the final answer. G of f of x equals to 20x minus 3. Okay? So that is basically the idea of composite functions. And now we are going to do, there's a part C also. Do I have video in solving inequality solving? I don't know. Maybe I do. I'm not too sure. So let's say here's part C, which is f of x. Or the question might even say ff. Or the question might even say f squared. They all mean the same thing. What do they mean? They basically means that we plug in f of x in f of x. Okay, plug in f of x in f of x. Okay, and here I would like to add an important note. And that is f of x or f square of x is not the same as taking f of x and squaring it. Okay, why? Because this means that you plug in f of x in f of x, whereas this means that you square the function. Okay, so there are two different things. Please don't mix them up ever. This means that you square the function. Okay? Yeah. How to get a distinction in math? Solve as many past papers as you can. Make sure that your solution is neat, it's to the point, and make sure that your graphs are also neat. Basically, just do as good as you can, and that's it. So f of x, let's do this. F of x is 5x minus 1. So f of x is going to be 5 into 5x minus 1 minus 1. So let's see, what do we get? We get 25x minus 5 minus 1, which means that we get 25x minus 6. I think someone gave the answer already. That is correct. Walaikum assalam. Beta, you don't have to spam with your salam. Ek dafa kafi hai. Okay, so that is the concept of composite function. Will I do a stream on statistics? Yeah, I will do a stream on statistics. I will, for sure. So let's do some past paper questions. Okay, let's do some past paper questions. And then we will do domain and range. Inverse of power was missed. What do you mean by that? Yeah, काम करते हैं. Let's do domain and range as well, and then we will do some past paper questions. Okay, I've taken out some easy and some difficult past paper questions also. So let's do that. Will you do a stream on equations of circles? I've done that. If you're talking about AdMaths, I did a stream, a detailed stream covering equations of circles. I think it was last month. Actually, I don't remember when it was, but I remember doing a stream recently only. Okay, now domain and range. So basically, the kind of questions that we have in domain and range is actually very easy. ठीक है, पहले ज़रा domain को detail में देख लेते हैं. Domain are basically all the values that you can plug into the function. Okay, so all the values that you can plug into the function are or is your domain. So for example, here's a question. अच्छा, अभी इसको solve नहीं करना, पहले मैं range पे लिख लूँ, then we'll solve. What's range? Range is basically all the output values. Okay, so all the output values are the range. For example, if f of 3 is equal to 5, that means 3 is the domain and 5 is the range. Okay, if f of 3 equals to 5, that means 3 is the domain and 5 is the range. Okay, now oftentimes before we solve this question, I would like to explain this in slightly more detail. Oftentimes with questions like these, let's say 1 upon x minus 1, you will notice that this is given, x is not equal to 1. इसका क्या मतलब है? आपने अक्सर देखा होगा with questions like these, you're given that x is not equal to 1. Or maybe you're given 3 over x plus 2, and with this you're given x is not equal to minus 2. Or sometimes, although this you may not have seen, but let's see if you guys can understand this. Let's say we're given square root of x minus 2, and along this we're given x is greater than or equal to 2. Now what's the idea of these values? The reason why x cannot be equal to 1 here is because if I plug in 1 into the function becomes undefined. Yes, this is for O-levels as well. Domain and range has been added in O-levels as well. Will you teach domain and range? That's not in IGCSE Math syllabus. Please note that this is for IGCSE Math. It's not for AdMaths. So the reason why we cannot plug in 1 is because if I plug in 1, the function becomes undefined. Okay, so that's the reason why x is not equal to 1. So I'll write that down. When x equals 1, the function becomes undefined, which means that 1 is not part of the domain, which means the 1 is not part of the domain. And same goes over here. When x equals to minus 2, the function becomes undefined. Why? Because the denominator is equal to 0, and if the denominator is equal to 0, that means you get a math error in your calculator. So here also same problem. If you plug in x equals to minus 2, the function becomes undefined. Here, why is it that x should be greater than or equal to 2? Anyone who'd like to answer this question, just use your common sense. Why is it that x should be greater than or equal to 2? What happens if I plug in, let's say 1? What's wrong with that? What if I plug in 0? 0 minus 2 minus 2, what's the square root of minus 2? Same problem, the function becomes undefined. Sir, this is for O-level maths too, because I think so. But this is very basic. If you're using this for AdMaths, I don't think it's going to do you much of a favor. If you want to study AdMath functions, I would suggest you watch AdMath videos. So here, if x is less than 2, then once again, function becomes undefined. And why does the function become undefined? Because square root of a negative value is not possible. So domain का primary objective क्या होता है? Domain का primary objective होता है to keep the function alive. Okay, that's what the primary objective of the domain is. So for example, in questions like these are the kind of questions that I'm expecting you guys will get in the exam. Because judging by the specimen paper, they haven't given some difficult questions, they've given some easy questions. And in the book also, the book that we're supposed to use for the updated syllabus, that too also has some very basic questions. So it says find the range for this function if the domain, so that means these are the values of x that you're allowed to plug in into this function. Okay, these are the values of x that you're allowed to plug into this function. So let's plug in 1. F of 1 is equals to 1 square minus 2 into 1. So that means f of 1 is equals to 1 minus 2, which is equal to minus 1. And then f of 2 is equals to 2 square minus 2 times 2. So f of 2 is equals to 4 minus 4, which is equal to 0. And then f of 3 is equals to 3 square minus 2 times 3, which means 9 minus 6, and that's equal to 3. And then finally, f of 4a means 4a squared minus 2 into 4a. So f of 4a equals to 16a squared minus 8a. So in the end, we're going to write our answer nicely. Minus 1, 0, 3, 16a squared minus 8a. And put this inside curly brackets. That's it. But I did mention in the video that I made, the book, that if you want to use the book, although you're better off using past papers, but if you want to use the book, especially for the new topics, then I mentioned it in the video that I made. I don't remember the exact name, but I mentioned it in the video. Now, part 2. Fairly easy, part B, in fact. Let's see what it says. Part B says f of x equals to 15. Now let's see what we can do. X squared minus 2x equals to 15. Let's move all the terms over to the left-hand side. So this is what we have. Now we can break this down. X squared minus 5x plus 3x minus 15 equals to 0. Gonna skip a few steps. And we have x equals to minus 3 and x equals to 5 as the answer. Yes. But how can you simplify 16a squared minus 8a? Simplify का मतलब होता है that you can further add or subtract. Can you do that? No, you can't. I mean, you're very welcome to try, but you will realize that you can't do that. Anyway, I'd like you guys to solve this. Okay, ये solve कर लें. बेटा common लेना is not exactly simplify करना. जब हम common लेते हैं ना तो वो उसको हम बोलते हैं factorize करना. That's not exactly simplifying. Okay, they're two different things. Factorize करके आप कुछ achieve नहीं करोगे. I mean, if you want to do it, go ahead and do it, but you're not exactly going to achieve anything. Walaikum assalam. Yeah, I'm just looking for some past paper questions. I'd like you guys to do this. अच्छा, just a minute. हो सकता है 1 second के लिए आपका. Just a minute. Okay, never mind. Carry on. I got U in AdMath midterms. Ouch. Sir, when will you do yearly past papers? But I avoid solving yearly past papers on YouTube. My channel got a strike for some reason when I solved one. Uske baad se I avoid solving yearly past papers. But I will do yearly past papers and I'll do a workaround for it. Don't worry. There is going to be a workaround for it. So don't worry about it. Anyway, so are we done? At least with the first part. What should I do? But if you got a U and if you're asking honest advice, I would suggest drop it. Drop the subject. Drop the subject, focus on other subjects. That's what I would recommend. Okay. Sir, आप statistics scratch से पढ़ा सकते हैं? पढ़ा तो सकता हूँ. But do we have the time for it? Let's see. I will be streaming all important topics inshallah before CIE, so don't worry about it. I would suggest right now do watch whatever stream I have on statistics. I'm pretty sure I have plenty of videos on statistics already. Make sure to go over those. Now f of x equals to, if you plug in these values, you will find out the range. So the range would be 15, 9, 7, 2 times 7 is 14, 9 minus 14 is minus 5. Okay, so these are the kind of questions that you can expect in domain and range. Then part B, f of x equals to, if you plug in minus 3, so that's going to be 21. Then if you plug in 0, that's going to be 0. And then if you plug in 1, that's going to be 1. If you plug in 7, that's going to be 49. 49 times 2 is 98. 98 times minus 7, that's 91. There you go. Okay. So now let's move to some past paper questions. I've taken out some questions which I would like us to solve. Let's solve a few questions together and then I'll give you guys some questions to solve on your own. Okay? Just a minute. Okay, so let's solve these questions together. So these are questions from IGCSE and O-level math. They're a mixture. Let's do how did last part give 91? Just plug in 7 and solve. You'll get the answer. Sir, can we use plug-in method? Yeah, of course, you will use plug-in. If you're supposed to find out the range, that means the only way to do it is by plugging it in. So let's do the first part where we are supposed to find g of 2. So we'll have to do this in two parts. First, let's find out g of 2. Okay, so g of 2 is going to be 2 square plus 1. So 2 square plus 1 means 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. So that means now what we can do is, jo g of 2 wala part tha, okay, we know that is equal to 5. So that means now we can simply find g of 5. Okay, so that's going to be 5 square plus 1. So that's equal to 26. And make the habit of writing 26. The answer in the answer space that's given. Asha, sir, in school I'm facing troubles with probability, but my teacher says I should switch to core. देखो core जो होता है ना, core में जो आपका highest grade आ सकता है वो C आ सकता है. Okay, and core is like a very watered down version of IGCSE Math that we have. Okay, so be careful if you're making that decision. If you're making that decision just to make your life easy, that's great. But if you are making that decision to get a good grade, that's not possible. Okay, beta, please stop spamming. I think. Okay, I'm not gonna do that. There we go. Okay, g of x plus 2. Now, g of x plus 2 means that we are going to replace x with x plus 2, the whole thing square, and then plus 1. Okay, if let's say the question was g of 5, we would plug in 5. If the question is g of x plus 2, we replace x with x plus 2. So we have x squared plus 4x plus 4 plus 1, which means the answer is going to be x squared plus 4x plus 5. There we go. X squared plus 4x plus 5. Now, part C. Part C says find x when f of x equals to 7. So f of x equals to 7 means 2x minus 3 equals to 7. We can solve this. It's a no-brainer. 2x equals to 10, which means x equals to 5 is the answer. Then f inverse of x. So f of x equals to 2x minus 3. Remember the step-by-step procedure that we follow for f inverse? We first set it equal to y. Then we make x the subject. So y plus 3 equals to 2x. Let's write it nicely. 2x is equals to y plus 3. X is equals to y plus 3 upon 2. And then finally, f inverse of x equals to x plus 3 upon 2. So x plus 3 upon 2, that's the answer. Is not using a calculator in P4 practice as much as... No, here's what I would suggest. If you want to practice non-calculator papers, then do O-level math paper 1. All right, here's one of those questions I think that you were talking about earlier. Sir, do you have any tips for non-calculator? Yeah, practice O-level math paper 1. For IGCSE, because if you practice your own papers, that's not going to help. So instead, I would suggest that you practice O-level math paper 1. That is definitely going to help. Now, h of 0.3, give your answer corrected to 2 decimal places. Please feel free to use a calculator over here. In fact, you'll have to use a calculator. So 0.3 raised to the power of 0.3. Let's see what that is. 0.3 raised to the power of 0.3. That's equal to 0.69. The question says correct to 2 decimal places, so we're going to lock it at 0.70. You should start doing early past papers 6 to 8 weeks before the exams. Where did the 4x come from? Beta, I think you need to go back and revise identities, algebraic identities. It's the first identity. H of x equals to 256. All right, anyone who can solve this question? X raised to the power of x equals to 256. And you cannot use logs or anything of that sort. I think more or less they're both of the same difficulty level. I can't tell you exactly which one's easy, which one's not. Four, okay, how'd you do this? If you're thinking of a method to solve this, there isn't a method, it's just trial and error. X raised to the power x means that the base and the power both should be the same. And you have to think of what should be the base and power so that the answer is 256. Like for example, 2 power 2, not going to work. 3 power 3, not going to work. 4 power 4 will eventually work and you'll get the answer as 256, which means x is equal to 4. Okay. Is this B part 2 of O-level? No, it's not for O-level, but it's relevant for O-levels as well. Okay. I'm going to solve a mixture of questions for O-levels as well as IGCSE. Okay. So I'd like you guys to solve this quickly. And then we're going to do some more questions. And I guess that's it. So what type of question will we be asked to? You can be asked to solve a quadratic equation with middle term breaking without a calculator. You can be asked to do everyday math, like for example, percentage increase, decrease without a calculator, maybe simple interest without a calculator, maybe probability without a calculator, maybe vectors, maybe similar triangles, polygons, angle properties of circles, basic 2D mensuration where either you're supposed to take the value of pi as 3, or maybe you're supposed to take pi as 22 upon 7, those kind of questions. Or what else? Let me think. Inequalities, graphs of inequalities, could be some basic coordinate geometry questions, equation of a straight line, stuff like that. Could be some basic algebra word problems also, simultaneous equations, so many things. I mean, what I would suggest is that when you're practicing, because if you're doing IGCSE Math past papers for practice, then in paper 2, don't use a calculator unless you reach a point where you think the question is designed to be done with a calculator, because the entire paper is designed to be done with a calculator, but majority of the questions you can still do without a calculator. So if you reach a question where you think this is definitely meant to be done with a calculator, like for example, we solved this question here, I don't think anyone can work this out mentally. So only then use a calculator. And IGCSE students, another thing that you can do is, एक syllabus code है 0607. This is international math. I would suggest कि आप इसके paper 2 निकाल के solve करो. Okay, इसके paper 2 are non-calculator, and the syllabus is very much similar to IGCSE Math, except for a few topics, which I think if you've covered the syllabus, you'll realize what's in your syllabus and what isn't. Okay. 236. All right. I don't know if that is the correct answer. Pretty sure that's not the correct answer, but let's see. So asking for your Jan to make crash course or add maths. No, I will not be doing the entire syllabus. I'll only be covering some important topics, which I've already announced. Now, let's work this out. First, let's evaluate f of 2. So f of 2 is 2 times 2 plus 1, which means f of 2 is 5. Now, instead of f of 2, we can replace that with 5. So h of 5 is equal to, I think you were right. Sorry, I said that's not the correct answer. You were right. It is actually correct. I didn't see h of x. So h of 5 is equal to 3 raised to the power of 5, which is equal to 243. My bad, you're right. Acha, here we have f of h of 1. So once again, we're going to break it down. Let's first evaluate h of 1, which is equal to 3 power 1, which means it's equal to 3. Then f of h of 1 basically becomes f of 3, which means 2 times 3 plus 1. So that means f of 3 equals to 7. Now 243 minus 7, which, like you guys said, is in fact equal to 236. Part B, you're saying 6x plus 1? I don't know. Let's find out. So g of f of x means that in function g, we plug in function f. So we have 6x plus 3 minus 2. That means 6x plus 1. Past paper session, inshallah, will start in March. Okay, March, I'll start registrations for past paper session. Okay, part C. See if you guys can solve part C. So what do you recommend students that have completed the whole syllabus at the moment do right now? Do yearly past papers. If you've completed the whole syllabus, I mean, that's brilliant. Do yearly past papers. But I haven't taught international maths as much. I've seen the content, but I haven't taught it. So I'm afraid I'm the wrong person to ask for tips. Should probably ask someone who is more experienced than me when it comes to international math. Now let's move all the x's over to the left-hand side. So 2x minus 3x is going to be minus x, and minus 2 minus 1 is minus 3. But remember, when we cross out the minus in an inequality, the sign flips. So x will be less than 3, not greater than 3. X will be less than 3. That's a rule for inequality, which you must remember. Then it says solve the equation h of x is equal to 1 upon 9. So this is h of x right here. Let's copy this. So this means, oops, sorry, this was supposed to be here. This means 3 of x, 3 power x, is equals to 1 upon 9, which means 3 power x is equals to 1 upon 3 square. This is more like an indices question. So 3 power x is equals to 3 power minus 2. X equals to minus 2. What should I do to make my basic strongs? To make your basic strong, beta, you should do the basics. do basic arithmetic, do basic algebra. No rocket science. If you want to make something strong, that's what you should practice. Okay, now let's find g inverse of x. So y is equals to 3x minus 2. Y plus 2 is equals to 3x. And y plus 2 upon 3 equals x. Then the last part, where we replace x with g inverse of x. So that's going to be equal to x plus 2 upon 3. Sir, what did you do in part D? In part D, we equate g of x, h of x to 1 upon 9. This is an exponential equation which we solve like a normal equation. Okay, this question has more parts to it, by the way. It says find, मैं इसको copy paste कर देता हूँ. Okay. So this is more like an algebra question. You can expect question like this in paper 1. I mean in non-calculator paper. So 5 upon 2x plus 1 plus g of x, which means 3x minus 2. Now 5 upon 2x plus 1 plus 3x minus 2 means that we have to take the LCM, which is going to be 2x plus 1. So 5 remains as it is. This, however, we need to multiply by 2x plus 1. So that means the denominator also must be multiplied by 2x plus 1. So 3x times 2x, that's going to be 6x squared. 3x times 1, that's going to be 3x. Minus 2 times 2x, that's going to be minus 4x. And then minus 2. Okay. Yes, I will upload this material, inshallah, when the stream ends. Don't worry. Now let's simplify. So we have 6x squared. 3x minus 4x, that's going to be minus x. 5 minus 2, which is equal to plus 3. Yes, I will upload this once we are done, okay? And then 2x plus 1, and there you go. That's the answer. 6x squared minus x plus 3 divided by 2x plus 1. Sir, is the domain and range? Yes, beta, it is included. आप लोग खुद syllabus खोल के क्यों नहीं देखते हो? ठीक है, अगर आपके टीचर कल को फॉर एग्जांपल बोलें बेटा I don't know, coordinate geometry is not part of the syllabus, so are you just going to buy it like that? Of course not, because syllabus कोई secret, it's not secretly hidden somewhere only for teachers to access. You can also access it. Take the syllabus and then tell your teacher it's part of the syllabus. पढ़ा देंगे आपको. Simple as that. All right, f inverse of x equals to 4. Yes, it is included in IGCSE as well. It's included in IGCSE as well. Sir, I haven't started topical past papers. So beta, how are you covering the topics? Topic के साथ साथ ही तो हम topical past papers करते हैं. अच्छा, by the way, हम f inverse already निकाल चुके हैं, I believe. नहीं निकाला, कोई बात नहीं. Okay, तो निकाल लेते हैं. अच्छा, by the way, there's another way to solve this question, and I want you guys to learn this, because there was a question where you only had to do it a certain way without taking the inverse. So if you remember trigonometric functions, इसको मैं delete कर देता हूँ. If let's say you have sine x equals to 0.5, how would you find out the value of x? You would take the function of sine across the equals to sign and it would become inverse. So when a function goes across the equals to sign, it becomes inverse. So if you take f inverse of x across the equals to sign, it would become the regular function. Okay, if you take f inverse of x across the equals to sign, it would become the regular function. That means x is equals to f of 4, which means that you simply plug in 4 into the function. And that's probably the reason why it's a 1-mark question. Because if let's say we had to find out the inverse, or if let's say there were marks for inverse, this would probably be a 2-3 mark question. Okay, so I'll explain this again. If you take a function across the equals to sign, like for example, sine, cos, or tan, it becomes inverse. But if it's already inverse and you then take it across the equals to sign, then it becomes the regular function. Like for example, अगर मैं sin inverse को वापस equals to sign के across ले आऊँ, if I do that, if I bring it across the equals to sign, then it would simply be sine of x equals to 0.5. Okay, so that's how it works. If you take it across, it becomes inverse. If you take inverse across, it becomes the normal function. Okay, so use this method. There was a specific question. I can't seem to find it. Maybe it's in your worksheet. Let me check. Maybe it's in the worksheet that I've uploaded. And in that question, you were only able to do it a certain way. I'll look for that question. But in the meantime, I'd like you guys to do the following. This is a past paper question from the specimen paper. I'll look for the worksheet. I'll look for that question that I'm talking about. Sir, is there still time? So for AdMaths, what I'm doing is I will be streaming, inshallah, from permutations and combination. And after that, I haven't decided the topic after that, but if you have a suggestion, please do let me know. I was thinking to do logs. Okay, I was thinking of doing that. So, then is there still time to do major chapters such as circles and graphs and transits? These aren't major chapters, but yes, there's time to do that. There's definitely time to do that. Reciprocal graphs for Feb exams. Ooh. I usually don't plan my streams around Feb exams, but I'll see if I can do it before Feb exams. I'm not too sure, but I'll see if I can. So I haven't started P4 topical, should I? But if you haven't done topical past papers, then you're going to have, then trying to solve yearly past papers is going to be a nightmare. Because it's already a nightmare of people who do solve topical past papers, but if you haven't done topical past papers and you're trying to solve yearly past papers directly, I think that's going to be a nightmare. So I would suggest कि पहले आप topical करो, at least 2, 3 साल, 4 साल के करो, फिर do yearly past papers. Okay, so let's see what the answers are. F of 0 is equal to -5. Actually, we're supposed to do f of -3 first, so let's do that. F of -3. So that's going to be 3 into -3 minus 5. So that's -9 minus 5. That's -14. And then f of 2. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 minus 5 is equal to 1. So that's f of 2, which is equal to 1. So the answer would be -14, -5, and 1. That's the answer. So how should I practice for non-calculated paper? I said you should do, what did I say? Paper 1 of O-level math. Okay, do paper 1 of O-level math. You can practice paper 1 through that. Okay, so yeah, that's it. I guess we are done for the day. Let me see if there's a question which we can solve. No, we are done. So we're done for the day, and I would like you guys to solve the 2 worksheets that you will find. I'll make sure to upload the notes also, so that you guys can, use the notes for practice. What is the benefit of giving AdMath before math? See, if you do AdMaths, then math becomes easy, but I don't think there's any major benefit of giving AdMath before math. yes, there is a benefit of studying maths and maths alongside, but giving the exam first, I don't think there's a major benefit. Anyway, so I'm going to stop here. In the next live stream, inshallah, is going to be an math stream where I will be solving permutations and combinations, inshallah, most likely on Tuesday. And if you guys have a specific request for math, please do let me know. Let me know what it is that you guys want me to stream next. You can tell me right now, and I'll plan my stream accordingly. Sir, next stream on asymptotes. Vectors, yeah, I was thinking vectors. Vectors का काफ़ी लोगों ने request किया. Vectors हो सकता है, और क्या हो सकता है? I was thinking maybe trigonometry, number sequences, yes. Probability, I've done it already. I'm not going to do it for a while. But I was thinking either vectors or number sequences. Okay, probably one of the two. Either vectors or number sequences. In दोनों में से कोई एक मैं stream कर लूँगा. Okay, so yeah, I'll stop here. Take care, fellas. See you, inshallah, very soon in a stream. Allah Hafiz.